What's up, guys? It's your girl Abi Ishola from Culture Shock, Nigerians in America. I'm standing across the street from the offices of iROKOtv. I'm about to go interview Jason Njoku, the CEO. So come on, follow me inside and see what he has to say.
My name is Jason Njoku. I'm the CEO of iROKOtv. We distribute Nigerian movies and music online. I grew up in southeast London, the UK. Solidly working class background. Didn't really go to Nigeria as much as like my peers. So maybe every 5 years. So there was always that relationship, but it wasn't sort of part of the Nigerian community as such. 2002 went into university. Spent 3 years, got a degree in chemistry, and thereafter I just started with the idea that I want to sort of do some business things, going back to my Igbo roots, and I've pretty much been doing it ever since, really.
Forbes recently just highlighted you as one of the 10 young African millionaires, and you're smiling. I was going to say, how does that feel, but I see how it feels.
To be honest with you, I like. As strange as it sounds, like I'm not really one to call the media. You'll never sort of see me out at events. I'm not sort of out on the town. I rarely go out. I'm just sort of a geek who sits in the room. I think the Forbes thing was quite interesting because it's not just me. There's obviously a lot of people with me. I think wealth creation is a great thing, but just for the sake of wealth creation is not a great thing. I think as long as we keep on making people smile by iROKOtv, whatever valuation they put to us, that's fine. But you know, I chuckled for a little bit. I had a laugh with my fiance. I've had like 1,000 Facebook fans, mainly from girls. So it massages the ego, but it doesn't pay the bills, right? So I'm gonna get back to work and focus on what's important.
Cool. So you have a fiance.
I do.
So ladies, he's off the market. So tell us about the changes with iROKOtv. Are you now based in New York, or are you still in Lagos?
So the heart of the company will always be Lagos. We have, I think, around 100 employees at the moment. 80 of them are in Lagos. We have like 12 or 13 in London. And New York is like the newest office we've got open. It's been open 2 months. We have 7 people at the moment.
What were you doing before you started iROKOtv?
Before iROKOtv, I was failing miserably at trying to start media businesses. So I worked as hard as I work now, but just with little to no success. So after graduating from university in 2005, I started my first media business. It was a magazine aimed at the student population of the north of England. So that's Manchester, Leeds, sort of Sheffield. Very, very, very popular. Made no money whatsoever. A complete and utter failure. But at the same time, the ability to kind of obviously condense an idea, distill it into something which is tangible, put something out there, hard work, just that sort of like, you know, the hard knocks of sort of trying to make money in the real world, pretty much gave me like a grounded education in how to do these things. Thereafter I set up like another business which was online. Again, it was popular, but just never really figured out how to make money from it. So for 5.5 years before iROKO, I spent a big chunk of my time trying to figure out in media how to make money with some sort of popularity.
How did the idea for iROKOtv come about?
So I think it's really simple. It's rare in the history of humanity that you would find something which is so popular, which hasn't benefited from some sort of marketing machine to make it popular. So everyone knows Coca-Cola, but they know it because everyone spends huge amounts of money. Well, Coca-Cola spends huge amounts of money in marketing it, right? Hollywood is massively popular, but if a budget of a movie is 100 million, they're spending 100 million as well on marketing. But then there's this thing called Nollywood, which it hasn't benefited from any marketing or at least organised systematic marketing machine ever, but it's just like wildly popular. And it's not just like a local, like Nigerian phenomenon, massive in the Caribbean, massive like everywhere in the world. And you know, Nigerians being like, I think 1 in 5 black person on the planet is Nigerian, and we're everywhere in the diaspora.
Yes, we are.
What a grand thing. So, you know, you have this mega trend, which is, you know, Nigeria is kind of cool, it's popular, it's happening from the music and entertainment world. And when I looked at like the market, and I looked at it from just like a media guy's perspective, it just didn't make any sense that you have something which is hugely popular. You have people who are, you know, really, you know, high volume, high velocity filmmaking. There just seems to be this weird dislocation between the value being created, people consuming it and how they're consuming it, and just the monetization sort of infrastructure behind that. So I think iROKOtv just had to exist. Whether it was me or someone else, it just had to exist for Nollywood to survive.
You recently got an $8 million investment
Sure.
deal. So what does that mean for iROKOtv, for the future of iROKOtv? How do you plan to grow the business from that?
So I think the key thing is, again, it's a simple idea. There's a value dislocation. We need to find a way to solve that, right? So it's expensive, just setting up in New York. Again, we're not at some weird back corner of New York. We're like, in Manhattan. The kind of people we can attract now in terms of people who can work for us, we can afford to pay them, and we can have much more longer term views in what we're doing. So the guys downstairs in the office, we have a couple of Harvard MBAs in there, we have a Stanford MBA in there, we have a Wharton MBA in there. So we're kind of trying to pull together the most smartest of like young black Africa to sort of try and solve this like massive problem. And I think and I think the thing is that they're excited about the opportunity, but they still got to pay their bills. They've got loans to pay off as well. But it's just freeing us to kind of do what I think no sort of African company has done in terms of like media technology, is sort of take it from like here to like here in terms of just like the scale of what we're doing.
So what advice do you have to other young entrepreneurs who need investment and they don't know how to go about getting it? They might have a great idea, but they don't know what the next step is.
So the interesting thing is, I get asked this question all the time. So I think the key thing is you have to be ambitious, and I'm not talking about you want to be a millionaire ambitious. It needs to be you want to build something which just needs to exist. And I always think in really simple terms. If iROKOtv.com didn't exist, would Nollywood and the fans be poorer for it? Most definitely. So it kind of needed to exist to be there. And anyone who looks at it just automatically gets it that, what? Why didn't I think of that before? I think every single person who told me like, man, I thought of that before. It was so many people had this idea before us. We just executed it better. I think no one's going to give you money for an idea. You need to have shown that you've done something. And I think the interesting thing people failed to realize was that when I never reached out to anyone for investment. I never asked anything of anybody. People approach me. Even now, every single week, we get people inquiring about sort of giving us more money. At the time, we didn't need the money. And the cool thing is that we had 40 people. It was me and 40 people. And we're making tens of thousands of dollars a month in Festac when we first started. I was working at my apartment at the time, so we had the building blocks of what iROKOtv and the whole company became. And I think the key thing is that you just have to demonstrate you've done something.
How did your deal with the filmmakers change after you got such a large investment? Are they getting paid more? How does that work?
I spent like $5 million or so already from cash flow and from the investment, pouring at Nollywood. So, we've licensed a 5,000 movie sort of library. Again, we have 100 people in 3 offices, and their focus is on trying to monetize that. Content has a value. We're just trying to solve that value. So I think we've paid producers more. We've put in place the building blocks. So forever going forward, there will be some value attached to this content. I believe with the amount of money we put into the industry as well, that we're attracting more people to look at Nollywood more seriously.
It's been reported that iROKO is worth about $30 million. Is that true?
Who knows? It literally is like finger in the air, which way is the wind blowing? Who knows? I think the key thing for us is that we're 18 months old. If this was to be the peak of our success, I think we'd be bitterly disappointed in terms of our potential. And $30 million is not like that's not a huge amount of money. That's not something to really celebrate. It's if that's what Forbes have said, then I'm not too sure where they're getting the information from. It definitely wasn't from me. But if that's what they feel, I think that's it's a big congratulations to the whole team. It's not like I can't do this by myself. I've got 100 people who work really hard to sort of try and create some value. I think people love us. The people who watch the movies love us, and as long as they love us, then we'll figure out everything else. And 30 million, 1 million, before you know it, it's like numbers, right? You start talking about numbers. So I don't know.
So did you ever think you would get to this point? Like just looking back at, your early days of doing media and failing, and now you're here.
No. So the interesting thing is that people always say to me, like, I knew you'd make it. I just knew you'd make it. And I'm like, well, I never knew I'd make it. Like I'm humbled by the whole experience. I just take things day by day. Like, I'm still a simple guy. Like there's no bling bling. There's no crazy sort of like extravagances. I just sort of sit in the office all day and just sort of try and make things happen. For me, I'm just happy to have been given the opportunity to at least be having these conversations in the first place and to have a little bit of success. And I think, you know, in terms of celebrating it, forget celebration. If it inspires one person to go out there and do something else, then brilliant. I'm all for that.
But okay, you're Nigerian.
Yep.
You haven't bought any bling?
No.
No
like,
nice car? Nothing yet?
Okay, so
That's hard to believe.
no, so if you're in Lagos, you have to have a 4x4. So I have a 4x4 in Lagos. That's a necessity. It's not even like a thing. So, but there's no bling. You know, like there's, you know, for me, I look at it in value. I'm trying to create something valuable, something which will last long into the future. You know, when the money came in, people expected me to sort of go and start doing some strange things, but at the end of the day, like, you know, I was living in a BQ till like January. You know, just January just gone, and it's not because I can't go and live anywhere I want to. It's because I kind of wanted to be near the office. So in a BQ office, I used to live there. You know, I'm not focused on celebrating what I've achieved so far because I know it can be fleeting unless I kind of create some foundation to it. And to be honest with you, like I'm not, like I don't like spending money. I've got this thing about not spending money, so I just don't spend it. I think just looking at the way I'm dressed at the moment with my flip flops kind of tells you that there's no airs and graces here.